Shabbat Shalom. Our scripture reading for today is Psalm chapter 118, verses 5 through 8. I call upon Yahweh in distress. Yahweh answered me and set me in a large place. Yahweh is on my side. I will not fear. What can man do unto me? Yahweh taketh my part with them that help me. Therefore shall I see my desire upon them that hate me. It is better to trust in Yahweh than to put confidence in man.
Shabbat Shalom family, our selection today, My El is standing by.
The oracles of the UCI, 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you're sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication, and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore, let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and have sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Latonia, Georgia. I want to, first of all, thank all of the family who supported me and my family, especially the choir in the homegoing service of our brother Ephraim. We had to do some last minute things and changes. It's one of those things that we know that we walk in this word, but when you deal with, when certain things happen, you have other family members that are, in control of certain things. Like my mother learned that as being his mother and the one who, was paying for everything, she still wasn't the next of kin. The oldest kid wasn't. Now this kid may not have a dime, but that was the next of kin, which means that that's the individual who makes all the decisions. These are things that we really don't consider until something happens, and then you have all of, these little tidbits of things that come up. But at the end of the day, we as Yahweh's servants, we have to do what we have to do. And I praise Yahweh because, you guys, showed up and we made a showing and did the things that we needed to do. And people were amazed at, us, first of all, showing up at a funeral in all white. They didn't know what they had never seen nothing like that. And then we read about the clean, fine linen is the righteousness of saints. And you could hear half the crowd go, oh. So sometimes Yahweh puts you in a situation where you may not want to be, but he has a purpose and some glory that he's trying to get. And as servants, you just have to do that job. And if you believe that you're going to do only the things that are acceptable to you, then you really don't understand what being a servant is. If you think you're going to like everything that he has you to do or understand everything, there was a part when Yeshua was saying things, eat my flesh and drink my blood, and you're like, man, why would he say that to them? Because he wants to know if they're servants or not. See, this is where people start to say, okay, this must be a cult. They just gonna listen to him? No, he's testing. He was testing. I get it now. Because there are certain things that Yahweh is gonna lead you to do that you're not gonna understand until after you do it. You're not going to fully understand it when he's leading you to it. You're not gonna fully understand, but afterwards you can see, man, a room full of people just learned your name who didn't know it before. A room full of people just heard your son's name who been going to church for 30, 40 years, but they ain't never know his name. All of that happened in one instance, but with you being uncomfortable. So now take and weigh the balances. Yahweh getting glory versus you feeling uncomfortable for a second. Now it makes sense. But what if you won't walk until it makes sense? What if you won't give until it makes sense? There's a reason why there's some of us in this room and some of us that are not. Some can only believe once the walls are up and there's a sign on the building. There's others that believed from the moment we said this is what we want to do. And they said we can do it. Today we're going to deal with the boundaries of the just. And Yahweh goes through boundaries physically so that we will understand boundaries spiritually. All of the things that we had or that we read in the oracles, he says, keep your foot. It was about boundary. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim. Be careful how you operate. He's letting you know what these spiritual boundaries are. Although we're still supposed to see this as our house. You knew something when you read and you start seeing the things that King Saul got into, and he would say stuff to Samuel and he said, your Elohim. Why wasn't he my Elohim to Samuel? Because Samuel didn't follow instructions. So you should see this. This should not be, the church. No, this should be my church. This shouldn't be the house. No, it's my house. You got to see it as personally being yours. Because you know what we do when something is ours? We protect it. And sometimes you might err on the side of caution. Dad, I saw somebody came up on the side of the building and I didn't know who they was. So, I pushed them on that. Daddy, was that somebody that you knew? They didn't look right. Well, yeah, I know they were some hyena looking dudes. I went to school with those hyenas. Those are my hyenas. I do know them. Okay, Daddy, you want me to go back and get them? Yeah, go back and get them. Go back and get those were my hyenas. I know them. But I'd rather you err on the side of caution. You see them say, no, I don't, they move different. They move street-like. Well, they are street-like. All right? I wasn't always a priest. All right? So they know me before then. But you got to see that as a connection to you. It says, I have sent an angel to keep you in the way. What was that? Boundaries. The angel is trying to get back over there. Where you going? Get back here. Boundaries. So he goes over these things about natural boundaries so that we will understand those spiritual ones. And you'll find that in life, you're going to encounter individuals who are habitual line crossers. You could draw a line and they're going to cross it. You step back to give them space, draw another line. They will cross that line too. They are habitual line crossers. The word says, have peace with all men, as much as lies in you. There comes a time when you cannot have peace with an individual because they do not have peace in them. And no matter how many lines you draw, they are going to keep crossing that line. And what am I supposed to do when I get up against a wall? I can't back up no more. when you cross that last line, it's time for you to feel these things. I done step back all I can step back. I've tried to give you all the space that I could possibly give you. I can't become one with the wall. The wall is permanent. I can't back up no more. You have continually crossed this line. It's time for me to show you these hands. I must now hand out these life lessons. So let's begin today's sermon in Leviticus chapter 24. Leviticus chapter 24, and we're going to start at verse 17. We're going to read verses 17 through 21.
Verse 17. And he that kills any man shall surely be put to death.
Yahweh has his system of justice, and what happens is a lot of times people say, well, you know, we're in the New Testament, so we don't have to deal with that. What we don't understand is Yahweh has taken judgment out of man's hands for several reasons. First of all, man suck at judgment. All right, because we're going to deal with our friends, we're going to deal with all of these things, but then there's something else, the bigger something else. Israel was about to lose the temple. You realize that everything went on in the temple? How can you execute judgment and you don't have a court? What do you think? See, the way they deal with church and the way Yahweh deals with it was totally different. And you're going to see that as we go through this. Go ahead.
And he that kills a beast shall make it good, beast for beast. And if a man cause a blemish in his neighbor, as he has done, so shall it be done to him. Breach for breach, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. As he has caused a blemish in a man, so shall it be done to him again. And he that kills a beast, he shall restore it. And he that kills a man, he shall be put to death.
He can't restore a man's life. So then his life has to be taken. So that's how you even that up. But then you get down to when it comes down to atonement, it says that when somebody defiles a land, the only way to restore that land is by shedding the blood of him that defiled it. So, you know, we think that because the New Testament has been introduced that the principles were changed. No, the principles are still there. What happens is a different entity just performs it. Instead of man performing it, Yahweh performs it. Let's go to Matthew chapter 5.
You know, my brother, when we look at this word blemish, right? We've read this before. And today I'm seeing it in a different light. It's like, you know, we always think of like a physical black eye or something like that as a blemish. But what if you blemish his name?
Right. Oh, no doubt. That's why I said he gives us these natural things so that we will understand the spiritual boundaries. I mean, we know, you know, we all meet those people that, like, when you talking to them, they like invade your personal space. Like you're trying to have a conversation, right? And then they step up, so you know you step back. You know, but then they step up, and then you step back. And then really, at some point, you know, you got to put an arm out. Look, don't, hey. You in this personal space. See this right here? This is the personal space. Don't come up in here. This you need to leave alone. Now, this is my last time stepping back now. Now, I'm trying to be nice, but I'm telling you, man, I'm nice. Hey, man, nice is in short supply right now. It's on sale, half price. I'm telling you, you're about to run out. You are invading this personal space. Go ahead.
Verse 38. You have heard that it has been said, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. But I say unto you, that you resist not evil, but whosoever shall smite you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also.
Now, when people read this, they say, okay, so that completely takes out eye for eye. Because he said, you know, you have heard. What you heard of that? The law. He knew they heard it because they had to read the law at least every 7 years. Go ahead.
And if any man will sue you at the law and take away your coat, let him have your cloak also.
Now, I want you to remember verse 40, because it's going to be interesting later on, because people say a lot of things have been done away with. So I want you to particularly remember, and if any man will sue you at the law. Go ahead.
And whosoever shall compel you to go a mile, go with him too. Give to him that asks you, and from him that would borrow of you, turn not you away.
All right. So then this looks like that is done away with, right? Because we're reading here, Yeshua has given us this higher law. Let's go to Matthew chapter 21. Let's see how Yeshua acted when something went on differently as it pertained to his Father's house. Matthew chapter 21, and we're going to start at verse 12. We're going to read verses 12 through 17.
And Yahshua went into the temple of Elohim and cast out all them that sold and bought in the temple.
So he is now throwing out people of the church. He's going in, finding individuals who are doing things that ain't right, and he throwing them out. Why didn't he just turn the other cheek? One of the things that people love to say, and it sounds really good, especially in songs, no condemnation, no judgment. He said, get out. And he didn't just say it. He grabbed them and removed them from his Father's house. At this point, he ain't just talking. He's letting them know the power that resides in these hands. You gotta go. Keep reading.
And overthrew the tables of the money changers.
He turned over tables. Wait a minute now. Where is the turn the other cheek philosophy? Oh, it didn't apply when I got to my Father's house. No. I'm talking to you out there in the street. I ain't talking about my daddy's house. Oh, you gonna act like you got some sense in my daddy's house. Go ahead.
And the seats of them that sold doves, and said unto them, it is written, my house shall be called the house of prayer, but you have made it a den of thieves. And the blind and the lame came to him in the temple, and he healed them. And when the chief priests and scribes saw the wonderful things that he did,
I need you to listen. And when the chief priests and scribes saw the wonderful things he did, not the horrible, not the awful, but the wonderful. Okay, go ahead.
And the children crying in the temple and saying, Hosanna to the Son of David, they were sore displeased.
Check that. They were displeased at the wonderful things that he did. We have had more problems since we've been doing good. What happened? They're displeased at the wonderful things that Elohim does for us. They are displeased. It's very seldom do you hear wonderful and displeased in the same sentence. Go ahead.
And said unto him, heareth you what these say? And Yahshua says unto them, yeah, have you never read, out of the mouth of babes and sucklings you have perfected praise? And he left them and went out of the city into Bethany, and he lodged there.
All right. So then we see that the turn the other cheek theology didn't apply when it got to his Father's house. So then now let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 5, because at some point he appears unto Saul and he tells him, or mentions concerning him the great things that he must suffer for my name's sake. So he then is setting forth some principles as well. So let's see some of those principles in action. 1 Corinthians chapter 5, and we're going to read verses 1 through 13.
It is reported commonly that there is fornication among you.
Now, one of the things that people love to say, no condemnation, no condemnation. Why are you even talking about this then? Why ain't talking about fornication among people within the body? He ain't talking about the people out in the street. So I expect them to fornicate. They fornicators. That's what they do out there. I'm talking to you in here. It is reported that there is fornication among you, not among them. Go ahead.
And such fornication as is not so much as named among the Gentiles, that one should have his father's wife. And you are puffed up, and have not rather mourned that he that has done this deed might be taken away from among you.
You are puffed up because you want that individual to stay amongst you. And this is how we go. This is my friend. This is my friend. No. That whole this is my friend thing has you puffed up. Because you don't want that individual to be removed because it's your friend. But your individual, your friend is on some strange dealings. Go ahead.
For I verily, as absent in body but present in spirit, have judged already as though I were present concerning him that has so done this deed. In the name of our Adonai Yahshua HaMashiach, when you are gathered together, and my spirit with the power of our Adonai Yahshua HaMashiach, to deliver such an one unto Satan for the destruction of the flesh.
All right, so if you're going to deliver such a one to Satan for the destruction of the flesh, what you going to do? They got to get put out. How else they going to learn what they're doing is wrong if you keep trying to tell them that it's okay? And you got to understand that sometimes, we come from different areas, and there are different cultures among the different places on the earth. This is why, I'm not in a hurry to jump and go somewhere. A lot of times people, they go out, we got the internet. So we go out on the internet and we look at a place, oh man, this is beautiful. Yeah, man, I want to move there. This is beautiful. Yeah, all right, there's a culture in there that don't come across in the picture. All right, the picture may show how green the grass is. But when you get there, you're going to find out that those people operate a certain way. When Lot looked and he saw all that green grass, it was watered everywhere. It was nice. But he wasn't ready for those gangster gay guys that was over there. They was gangster gay. Wait a minute. See, you probably ain't never seen what they had. No, they was gangster gay. They wasn't trying to be like, how you doing? You want to talk to? No. They was like, come here, man. We want to sleep with you. Wait a minute. You gangster and gay. But see, the picture in the brochure didn't show you that. See, when he looked out and he saw this green grass, it didn't say that. Now he has to deal with the culture of that land. For that reason, there used to be a lot of strife here. Matter of fact, Goody Mob made a song about some of the altercation. There was a lot of altercation when people from up north moved down south. Because of how up north runs, you have to be a little bit more aggressive. They have this look, because that's, people to come begging, and they don't want them to come begging, so they keep the mean mug on them. You know what I'm saying? Don't look at me. So they operate that way, right? So then when you come down south, they came down and people were speaking. That made them believe, oh, these people slow. Oh, I can run over these people. There's a lot of northerners that's pushing up southern grass right now because they thought that these brothers were slow when they got here. And they didn't understand, no. Their culture is that they're going to speak to you. That's southern hospitality. Don't mistake that for weakness, because that brother going to put you in the dirt. A lot of them figure, and you look, and some of these people look different. They got down here, saw people with Jerry curls and perms. They was like, that dude got a perm. We finna try him. No. That's the last brother you need to try, is that one with that perm. He had 4 bodies on him before he met you. That's the last one we know down here. You said dude that perm with them gators on, leave him alone. You're gonna die tonight. But you see how culture, that may look like something else where you were from. That's gonna get you killed. Coming somewhere else, bringing your mindset of where you are from and then try to sit it in where you at. You have to learn how to observe and walk in the culture of where you at. And that's why we have so many issues with one another. People come with the thought process of where they're from, and they don't adopt the thought process of where they're at. So they're going across boundaries. This is how an individual could have ticked off 7 or 8 brothers in the congregation and don't know he's done it. Why? Because he has the mindset of where he came from, not the mindset of where he is. And he literally believes that he was right. He literally doesn't think that he's done anything wrong. He's looking straight in the eye of each individual who is telling him that they were offended, and he doesn't understand why. Because he still has the mentality of where he was. That's the problem with moving, and people don't get it. You have to learn how to adapt to where you are. And if you can't, go back from whence you came, because you're going to cause yourself some issues. Go ahead, bro.
That the spirit may be saved in the day of the Adonai Yahshua. Your glorying is not good. Know you not that a little leaven leavens the whole lump? Purge out therefore the old leaven, that you may be a new lump.
That old leaven. See, you already had a way to operate, and it worked where you were. But it ain't gonna work where you at. Go ahead.
As you are unleavened. For even the Mashiach, our Passover, is sacrificed for us. Therefore let us keep the feast, not with the old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness, but the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. I wrote unto you in a letter not to company with fornicators.
Now, if there's no condemnation, why did he write that letter? See, sometimes people take things out of context. Go ahead.
Yet not altogether with the fornicators of this world, or with the covetous, or extortioners, or with idolaters, for then must you needs go out of the world.
You're already supposed to be separate from them. If you sanctified, you separated. Go ahead.
But now have I written unto you not to keep company, if any man that is called a brother be a fornicator, or covetous, or an idolater, or a railer, or a drunkard, or an extortioner. With such an one, know not to eat. For what have I to do to judge them also that is without? Do not you judge them that are within?
Listen, for what have I to do to judge them also that are without? Do not you judge them that are within? Wait a minute, you're the ones in charge in the church, right? Well, then that's your job. Why are you not taking care of that business? Now back up and see what Yahshua did. He went out to them and said, if any man will sue you at the law, turn the other cheek. He went in his father's house and turned over tables and said, get out. Saul saying the same thing. Hey, you ain't doing what you're supposed to do. Get to stepping. Go ahead.
But them that are without Elohim judges.
Wait a minute. Separate judgment. The ones that are without, Elohim judge them. The one that's within, that's your job. That's your job. Go ahead.
Therefore put away from among yourselves that wicked person.
Right. Now, and Yahweh is going to hold us accountable. See, all this time we have been trying to be nice to people, and what happened is the longer you keep them around, the more dirt they do to other people. Then you look at it and find, wait a minute, that was our fault. Why were they around to do dirt that long? That we kept thinking that we turning the other cheek. We turning the other cheek. We was looking at this all wrong. Said, Elohim judge them that are without. You supposed to judge them that are within. Why they still there? Now, if you had taken care of that business, it would have just hurt one person. But you keep trying to be nice with them. Now that done hurt the whole first 2 rows. How was that possible? Because we didn't take care of our business. Keep reading, brother.
Dare any of you, having a matter against another, go to law before the unjust and not before the saints?
Wait a minute. Now remember, it says if any man will sue you at the law to give him these things. Now wait a minute. Now he's then saying how these court proceedings are supposed to be done. Dare any of you having a matter against another go to law before the unjust. Everything took place at our temple. Not just our religious so-called rituals. No. Even our legal matters, they happen and were taken care of in the same place. Go ahead.
Do you not know that the saints shall judge the world? And if the world shall be judged by you, are you unworthy to judge the smallest matters?
Are you unworthy to judge the smallest matters? We have to then maintain these spiritual boundaries. We have to learn how to maintain the spiritual boundaries of one another. When it says he's given some teachers, some apostles, some prophets, you have to respect the boundary of the teacher while also respecting the boundary of the prophet. He has to be able to have the space to do the job that the Spirit has given him to do. I can't put a man in charge of something and then take away his ability to do the job that I gave him. When I tell a man that he's in charge of security, he got to be able to make a brother eat dirt and tell me about it later. It's like I mowed the grass, but I didn't see the lawn mow. No, it was with this brother's face. What? Yeah, he moved wrong. We'll just have to discuss it later. He already has that authority. Why? Because I gave him the job. Go ahead.
Know you not that we shall judge angels? How much more things that pertain to this life?
Know you not that we shall judge angels? How is it that we can't judge these small matters? Why does multiple brothers have to be present for you to look at something that ain't right? Man, don't do that in here. Well, if you ask the priest, we'll ask the priest when we see him, but for right now, you're going to step back. Go ahead.
If then you have judgments of things pertaining to this life, set them to judge who are least esteemed in the church.
Right. You want to deal with some even the lowest brother in the church is able to deal with those worldly matters. You said things of this life. Oh, you want to deal with some worldly stuff? Man, the dude to take out the trash is equipped to deal with y'all biggest matters out there in the street. Our trash guy is on a much higher spiritual plane than your PhD having dude out there in the street. Go ahead.
I speak to your shame. Is it so that there's not a wise man among you? No, not one that should be able to judge between his brethren. But brother goes to law with brother, and that before the unbelievers.
Right. We would rather go before the unbelievers than to go before the church of Elohim. But why is that? Because we believe that we can pull the wool over their eyes, because they don't know what kind of individuals we are. They don't want to actually stand before the congregation because they know that we're going to be looking at things according to what's in this book, and they don't want to be judged by that. Let's go to Romans chapter 1. See, we have to understand that there's a judgment coming for us. And it's not going to be some unknown thing. We have a book. We already know what we're going to be judged by. Now, of course, he has righteous judgment, so he knows what strengths and weaknesses we have. So even though he'll judge by the same law, he still has the opportunity to attribute or not attribute something based upon our own personal pluses and minuses. That part only Yahweh can do. But we don't need to know all of that when it comes down to you have removed my landmark. I don't need to know nothing about your past. I don't need to know nothing about your future. All I need to know is you standing in my land. Romans chapter 1, and we're going to start that at verse 28. Romans chapter 1, and we're going to start at verse 28, and we're going to read through chapter 2 and verse 11.
And even as they did not like to retain Elohim in their knowledge, Elohim gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient.
So we have gone to Holy Convocation with other individuals, but after a while, and you see that those individuals have a certain way that they operate, you find out that they stop growing spiritually. Why? Because they go ahead and give them up to that. And then they're stuck right there. Everybody else grows and their spiritual growth is on pause. 5 years later, they still in spiritual kindergarten. They ain't never passed that point. He went on and gave them up to it because they will not change. They will not adhere to any of those things that he has revealed unto them. Go ahead.
You know, the problem is it's the man that's standing in front of them who is giving forth the word that they can't accept it from.
Right.
You won't get into your book and then sit down and let's reason out of the book. Mm-hmm. All you see is the man in front of you that's delivering the message, and then, you know, it's hard to take it from you.
Right. And what happened is what we do to try and make that okay is we try to find a fault in that individual, so then we believe that erases our fault. See, so we believe if we can find a thorn in him, then that negates the thorn that I have. That's what they think. So Yahweh will purposely send somebody to deal with you who has a thorn to see if you're going to listen. I ain't gonna listen to that, bro. This the brother that do such and such and such and such. Yahweh like, perfect. That's the one I'm gonna send. Cause see, if I send the priest, you might hear him.
Yes, sir.
No, I'm not gonna send the priest. I'm not gonna send the priest. I'm not gonna send him. I mean, he know it, but I'm not gonna send him. At least you hear and change and be converted and healed. No. I'm not gonna send him. I'm gonna send this other guy. Yeah, that other one. You know that one that you be looking at? Oh, you said, well, God, he gets on my nerve. Yeah, that one. That's one he said. That's one he gonna send. That's one he gonna send. Right. And then, and what you gonna do when Yahweh said, I told you? No, you didn't tell me. Yes, I did. When you told me? You remember that guy? You know what I'm talking about. What's your name now? The one you said wasn't worth for food? That's the one I said. Yeah, I bypassed the priest. I saw him. But I knew you to listen to him. And I wanted you to hear me. See, I know you to listen to the priest because you respect him. But I needed you to hear me. I didn't need you to hear him. So I didn't give it to him. I gave it to the other guy. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 29. Being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whisperers, backbiters, haters of Elohim, despiteful, proud, boasters.
Proud boasters. A lot of people don't even know that they're arrogant. And this is that thing that when people come from a different part of the country, they don't know that they're arrogant. When the woman said to the disciples, one of their mothers, grant me that my two sons will sit on your left and right. She don't even know that was one of the most arrogant things that could have come out of her mouth. You mean to tell me there are principalities and powers in heaven? There are angels. There is a heavenly throne that was set up before anything that was set up here on earth, but your sons need to have left and right? You don't even know that was one of the most arrogant things that could have come out of your mouth. To the point that now the other brothers got problem with them because their mama said it. Man, what's wrong with your mama, bro? To sit on the left and the right? Wow, so the rest of us in here just chop liver. We chop liver, but your son's gonna get left and right. Completely and utterly arrogant. That's the problem sometimes. People don't know how to leave where they came from, where they were. And they don't even know that they're arrogant. She utters this. She doesn't know. She thinks this is normal. She has ticked off every disciple in the room, except her two sons. Right. Go ahead, brother.
Inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful, who knowing the judgment of Elohim, that they which commit such things are worthy of death, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them.
They have pleasure in them. That's their friends. All right. So when they have pleasure in them that do such things, they hang out with the same people. So you start to see that birds of a feather flock together. So you can't get mad when you walk up with some snakes and people say, oh, look at this snake. Why you call me a snake? Because you came in with two snakes. We know those two are snakes. You came in with two snakes. How are we supposed to look at you differently? Not nan time have we ever walked down the street and saw two snakes and a mongoose. No, if we see two snakes, that third one a snake too. Because you felt awfully comfortable around those two snakes. Yeah. Why were you that comfortable around those snakes? Right. Go ahead.
Therefore you are inexcusable, O man, whosoever you are that judges.
Now they say, oh my God, no, you judging. So who's a man and who's a priest? What did he say? It is your job to judge them that are what?
Then.
Okay. Interesting. Keep reading.
For wherein you judgest another, you condemneth yourself. For you that judges does the same things. But we are sure that the judgment of Elohim is according to truth against them which commit such things.
Wait a minute. But we are sure that the judgment of Elohim is according to the truth against them that commit such things. What people believe is that because Yahweh has taken the judgment out of man's hands, they think the judgment of Elohim has gone away. Silly people. No, the judgment of Elohim is in full effect. It has gone no place. And you have no idea who's going to execute it. Go ahead.
And thinketh you this, O man, that judges them that which do such things, and does the same, that you shall escape the judgment of Elohim? Or despiseth you the riches of his goodness and forbearance and long suffering, not knowing that the goodness of Elohim leads you to repentance?
The goodness of Elohim leads you to repentance. To repent means you have to back away from something. To repent means that you have to acknowledge that you did something wrong. How can you get to the point of doing or admitting that something has happened? How can you get to repentance if you don't actually believe that what you did was wrong? See, people have this thing. They don't understand what judgment is. Judgment includes punishment. People have gotten to the point where anything that you say is now judgment. If a brother is fornicating and you say, brother, you fornicating, man, why you judging me? Do you see a rock in my hand? Well, then I'm not judging you. See, folks don't understand what judgment is. When there was judgment, there was some rocks and some blood involved. So until you see rocks and blood, stop saying that everybody who said something was judging. We need to first understand what judgment is. When he says, there is commonly reported that there's fornication among you. Then he says, I have judged already. He went to judgment. Why? Because he's the one in charge of that congregation. And what was the judgment? he got to go. It wasn't judgment when they said he fornicated. It was judgment when the priest said, you got to go. Know the difference. Go ahead.
But after your hardness and impenitent heart treasures up onto yourself wrath against the day of wrath and revelation of the righteous judgment of Elohim, who will render to every man according to his deeds. To them who by patient continuance in well-doing seek for glory and honor and immortality, eternal life. But unto them that are contentious and do not obey the truth, but obey unrighteousness, indignation and wrath.
Right. See, they think that they can do all of these things because somebody told them the law was nailed to the cross, so they don't understand. Oh no, you gonna pay for this. When David turned around, King David took that man's wife, Yahweh said, the sword shall never depart from your house. What was it? Judgment. And he stretched the judgment out. Now you gonna pay for that? No. You took that man's wife. Oh, you gonna pay for that? And he stretched it out. Had his own sons come against him. Had his own sons go and sleep with his wives. Oh, no. When Yahweh said he coming to get you, he coming to get you. Go ahead.
Tribulation and anguish upon every soul of man that does evil, of the Yehudi first and also of the Gentile.
Right, decent and in order. Go ahead.
But glory, honor, and peace to every man that works good, to the Yehudi first and also to the Gentile. For there is no respect of persons with Elohim.
There is no respect of persons with Elohim. He is going to make sure that righteous judgment is executed no matter who that individual is. Let's go to Numbers chapter 35. See, we have to first of all go through old and new so that we understand. Yahweh's judgment didn't go away. Yahweh took the judgment out of man's hand. But dude, get this through your head. He will still use a man to execute that judgment. It will just be a man that you ain't seen before. He's not going to use the same man that you did it to. No. It's going to be a different man. Numbers chapter 35, and we're going to start that at verse 1.
And Yahweh spake unto Moshe in the plains of Moab by Jordan near Jericho, saying, Command the children of Israel that they give unto the Levites of the inheritance of their possessions cities to dwell in. And you shall give also unto the Levites suburbs for the cities round about them.
All right, so the priests lived in the suburbs. Okay, go ahead.
And the cities shall they have to dwell in. And the suburbs of them shall be for their cattle, and for their goods, and for all their beasts.
So they had these things. They first had their stuff right around the temple, which makes sense. They're going to be around the temple because they have to work in it constantly. But then they have to have space in those suburbs for their things. Because understand, the priests were not given land like every other tribe. There is no set land for Levites. When the land was divided, there's no land for them. Why? So they have to be around all the places where they're going to teach Yahweh's word. So they're going to be somewhere near that house. You ain't going to call the priest and he be like, give me 4 hours, I'll be over there. No. He going to be somewhere around the house. He going to be around that house constantly. And sometimes people think they know what they're looking at, you know. Sometimes you may see me, and that's my second time being up here. People say, oh, you know, priests get here probably about 12:45. It might be the second time you done seen me. Second time I done been up here. Other brothers might be here since 11 o'clock. But they need to be accessible because there's other things that are going on. And praise Yah for the brothers who were far away and still make themselves accessible. Go ahead.
And the suburbs of the cities, which you shall give unto the Levites, shall reach from the wall of the city and outward 1,000 cubits round about. And you shall measure from without the city on the east side 2,000 cubits, and on the south side 2,000 cubits, and on the west side 2,000 cubits, and on the north side 2,000 cubits. And the city shall be in the midst. This shall be to them the suburbs of the cities. And among the cities which you shall give unto the Levites, there shall be 6 cities for refuge, which you shall appoint for the manslayer, that he may flee thither. And to them you shall add 42 cities.
All right, verse 6. And among the cities which you shall give unto the Levites, there shall be 6 cities for refuge, which you shall appoint for the manslayer. So there was then something different about where the priest resided, where certain things could not be done. Go ahead.
So all the cities which you shall give to the Levites shall be 48 cities. Them shall you give with their suburbs. And the cities which you shall give shall be of the possession of the children of Israel. From them that have many you shall give many, but from them that have few you shall give few. Everyone shall give of his cities unto the Levites according to his inheritance which he inherits.
All right, so every tribe has to do this. Go ahead.
And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When you become over Jordan into the land of Canaan, then you shall appoint you cities to be cities of refuge for you, that the slayer may flee thither, which kills any person at unawares. And they shall be unto you cities for refuge from the avenger, that the manslayer die not, until he stand before the congregation in judgment.
All right. Who did he have to stand before in judgment?
Congregation.
See, there's certain things that we just read right past and keep going. No. He has to stand before the congregation in judgment to decide whether or not if what he did was truly accidental. Go ahead.
And of these cities which you shall give, 6 cities shall you have for refuge. You shall give 3 cities on this side Jordan, and 3 cities shall you give in the land of Canaan, which shall be cities of refuge. These 6 cities shall be a refuge, both for the children of Israel, and for the stranger, and for the sojourner among them, that everyone that kills any person unawares may flee thither. And if he smite him with an instrument of iron, so that he die, he's a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death.
All right, it's separating the difference between a person who accidentally killed somebody and someone who purposely killed somebody. Now, they're going to have to go back on certain statements, if you will, to figure out if that person had intention. See, now this is where we get ourselves in trouble, because our mouths won't stop running. Then when something go down, we say, oh, that was an accident. Well, here's the problem. Your mouth was running saying some other stuff. So even if this was an accident, it ain't gonna look good. Why? Because that stuff that came out your mouth previously. See, they didn't have Facebook. They didn't have Instagram. We have recorded messages that we are putting out that people can go back and say, no. I saw a post where you said something against that brother right there. So you telling me that when you was swinging the hammer, it accidentally came off? Yeah, it was an accident. Yeah, well, see, if it wasn't for this post, we could let you go. But see, you let something come out your mouth, and that make it hard for us to believe that the iron part of that hammer came off. Now see, your own words done condemn you. As it says, by your own words shall you be condemned. And it might truly have been an accident. But guess what? You gave the benefit of the doubt by the things that came out of your mouth. And we think we need to post every feeling that we have in life. Every meal that we eat, we post. I
feel sad today. Post. Oh, I'm feeling just a little bit cloudy, gloomy, 30% chance of precipitation. Post.
Why do everybody need to know that?
Ooh, my stomach is upset. I ate something strange. I think I gotta use the potty. Post.
Why in the hell do we need to know that? But see, then you post the wrong thing because you also got angry. And now something happened. And now them words is about to deal with you. Go ahead.
And if he smite him with throwing a stone, wherewith he may die, and he die, he's a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death. Or if he smite him with an hand weapon of wood, wherewith he may die, and he die, he's a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death. The revenger of blood himself shall slay the murderer. When he meets him, he shall slay him.
All right, the revenger of blood. Who is this? His family. One of his family members who is upset about what has happened to their loved one. So you need to understand that there's a common thought process that when you do something against somebody's family, be looking for one of their family to show up. Go ahead.
But if he thrust him of hatred, or hurl at him by lying of weight, that he die, or in enmity smite him with his hand, that he die, he that smote him shall surely be put to death, for he is a murderer. The revenger of blood shall slay the murderer when he meets him.
Check this out. Now the revenger may slay him. Go ahead.
But if he thrust him suddenly without enmity, or if cast upon him anything without laying of weight, or with any stone, wherewith a man may die, seeing him not, and cast it upon him, that he die, and was not his enemy, neither sought his harm, then the congregation shall judge between the slayer and the revenger of blood according to these judgments.
Who's going to judge? Okay, go ahead.
And the congregation shall deliver the slayer out of the hand of the revenger of blood.
Who delivers the person?
Congregation.
Okay.
And the congregation shall restore him to the city of his refuge.
Who restore him?
Congregation.
Okay.
Whether he was fled. And he shall abide in it unto the death of the high priest, which was anointed with the holy oil.
Now, you have to remember something that happened during the time of Solomon taking charge. That one of his brothers decided that he was going to try to take the kingship, right? And he went to go and take the kingship. And Solomon caught him. Shlomo caught him. And he was like, please don't kill me. He said, all right, you go in your land. You go, but don't you come out. He granted him life if he would stay there. Well, y'all know how we talk. He went back home. He must have mistreated his servants. His servants take off running and flee. Silly man. Decides he gonna go after his servant and go get him. They told Shlomo, hey, your boy left town. Say what? Yeah, your boy left town. All right. Now, you know that servant knew that, right? That servant like, no, man, word on the street. He can't leave here. And he keep mistreating me. I'm out. He decided to leave. It caused the death of him. Where did Shlomo get the whole concept? The law of his Elohim. You tried to steal the kingship, and I let you live. But I told you to stay in there. You came out. You pronounced death upon yourself. Boundaries. You went past the boundary that I gave. You crossed the line. I drew another line. You crossed that line. You can never make enough lines for a habitual line crosser. Every time you draw a line, they are going to cross it again because that's just who they are. Go ahead.
But if the slayer shall at any time come without the border of the city of his refuge, whether he was fled, and the revenger of blood find him without the borders of the city of his refuge, and the revenger of blood kill the slayer, he shall not be guilty of blood.
He shall not be guilty of blood because he should have never seen you. He seen you because you were somewhere where you ain't had no business being. He can't go into the land of the priest looking for you. He can't go in there. See, we look at certain things like they say, okay, a church is automatically tax exempt. Where do you think the whole exempt part comes? They ain't just tax exempt. There's a whole lot of exemptions in the land of the priest. And when people don't understand that, they try and look at something from the mindset of where they come from. They try to look at that and then they look at it wrong because they don't know how to look at it from the position of this word. This exemption in this land. You can't even go and touch your enemy in the land where the priest is. There's exemption where he is. And it goes far beyond tax. Go ahead.
Because he should have remained in the city of his refuge until the death of the high priest.
He should have remained there. Go ahead.
But after the death of the high priest, the slayer shall return into the land of his possession. So these things shall be for a statute of judgment unto you throughout your generations in all your dwellings. Whoso kills any person, the murderer shall be put to death by the mouth of witnesses. But one witness shall not testify against any person to cause him to die.
Right. And we know the slickness of Israel. What Israel will do is they will make sure that when they do one wrong, that there's only one witness. But Yahweh is a very competent Elohim. He makes sure that person will do the same thing somewhere else. Guess what? That's another witness. They all don't have to be the witnesses on the same event. Just the same type of event. This person say you stole from him. That person say you stole from him. That person say you stole from her. I'm sorry, there's 3 witnesses against you being a thief. They don't have to all be the same incident. It's the same type of incident, and every last one of them have brought forth proof against you. You gotta go away from here. Go ahead.
You know, when you look at this whole situation, it behooves us all to understand both sides of the law, because the slayer has to understand that I stay here till the death of the high priest. Once the death of the high priest, I can go back to my possession. The avenger blood also got to realize that after the death of the high priest, you can't touch that man.
Sure can't.
At least now the avenger of death be on his side of the family.
Yep.
Verse 31. Moreover, you shall take no satisfaction for the life of a murderer, which is guilty of death, but he shall be surely put to death. And you shall take no satisfaction for him that is fled to the city of his refuge, that he should come again to dwell in the land until the death of the priest. So you shall not pollute the land wherein you are, for the blood itself defiles the land.
Right. You're defiling the land by letting them come back in. You're being nice. See, this is what we had to learn the hard way. And those individuals that we thought we were showing mercy to, and they were doing more dirt, we were helping them defile our land. Go ahead.
And the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it.
Right. If you defile it, it's your blood that got to cleanse it. We can't clean it with somebody else's blood. We got to clean it with yours. Go ahead.
Defile not therefore the land which you shall inhabit, wherein I dwell. For I, Yahweh, dwell among the children of Israel.
All right. Let's go to Yahshua, chapter 20. And we're going to read verses 1 through 6.
Verse 1. Yahweh also spake unto Yahshua, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, Appoint out for you cities of refuge, whereof I spake unto you by the hand of Moshe.
Now, he's reiterating the very thing. I told Moshe, now I'm telling you, make sure you appoint these cities. Go ahead.
That the slayer that kills any person unawares and unwittingly may flee thither, and they shall be your refuge from the avenger of blood.
So, it's known then once you do something to a person's family that there's a person whose anger is hot because somehow somebody has crossed a boundary. And there's an angry individual and you need to leave town. Now what if you say, I just worked on this patio. I just expanded my deck. I don't know what to tell you. You about to go live somewhere else? Or you gonna die on that brand new deck? Go ahead.
And when he that does flee on to one of those cities shall stand at the entering of the gate of the city, and shall declare his cause in the ears of the elders of that city, they shall take him into the city unto them, and give him a place that he may dwell among them.
Now, I need you to listen to this. Verse 4, and when he that does flee unto one of those cities shall stand at the entering of the gate of the city. Oh, he don't just go there and just hang out. You know what I'm saying? Like he just hide. No. We got to see if you are approved. Explain your situation. And you'll find that people like to go and have these little private conversations where they can only talk their side. Oh, no. You're going to stand before these elders and you're going to explain your situation. And if we don't believe that your situation is just, you're not coming in here. Go ahead.
And if the avenger of blood pursue after him, then they shall not deliver the slayer up into his hand, because he smote his neighbor unwittingly and hated him not before time.
Hated him not before time. So that's a real big thing. If there has already been hatred pronounced, then now this is different. Go ahead.
And he shall dwell in that city until he stand before the congregation for judgment, and until the death of the high priest that shall be in those days. Then shall the slayer return and come onto his own city, and onto his own house, and onto the city from whence he fled.
Right. So then you have to consider, if a man has to leave his own house, then he has to then convince, members of his family to either come with him, or and what if there's a family business? Now that's in the hand of who's ever left there. And what if you didn't teach anybody else the family business? What has happened to your house as you have left it? Let's go to Exodus chapter 21. But the last thing you need to be thinking about is your business when your life is on the line. Exodus chapter 21. And we're going to start that at verse 1.
Now these are the judgments which you shall set before them. If you buy an Hebrew servant, 6 years he shall serve you. And in the 7th he shall go out free for nothing. If he came in by himself, he shall go out by himself. If he were married, then his wife shall go out with him. If his master have given him a wife, and she have borne him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her master's, and he shall go out by himself. And if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free, then his master shall bring him unto the judges. He shall also bring him to the door, or unto the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever.
In other words, he gave him an earring. Go ahead.
And if a man sell his daughter to be a maidservant, she shall not go out as the men servants do.
All right, jump to verse 12.
He that smites a man so that he die shall be surely put to death. And if a man lie not in wait, but Elohim deliver him into his hand, then I will appoint you a place whither he shall flee. But if a man come presumptuously upon his neighbor to slay him with guile, you shall take him from mine altar, that he may die. And if he that smites his father or his mother shall be surely put to death. And he that stealeth a man and sells him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. And he that curses his father or his mother shall surely be put to death.
So we're not just dealing with certain parts of physical boundaries. We're talking about spiritual boundaries here that are set up and the way in which they will be dealt with. Go ahead.
And if men strive together, and one smite another with a stone or with his fist, and he die not, but keeps his bed, if he rise again and walk abroad upon his staff, then shall he that smote him be quit. Only he shall pay for the loss of his time, and shall cause him to be thoroughly healed.
Right, and that they will charge you restitution if some things happen. You have to go to court even in this land. You have to end up paying that individual for the loss of time. Go ahead.
And if a man smite his servant, or his maid with a rod, and he die under his hand, he shall be surely punished. Notwithstanding, if he continue a day or two, he shall not be punished, for he is his money.
Now, you have to consider that Yahweh holds this law, whether man deals with this law or not. All of the mistreatment that our people have suffered in this country and outside, abroad, during slavery, somebody gonna answer for that. Somebody gotta answer for that. He told you exactly how you're supposed to treat a servant. Go ahead.
If men strive and hurt a woman with child, so that her fruit depart from her, and yet no mischief follow, he shall be surely punished, according as the woman's husband will lay upon him, and he shall pay as the judges determine. And if any mischief follow, then you shall give life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burning for burning, wound for wound, stripe for stripe. And if a man smite the eye of his servant, or the eye of his maid, that it perish, he shall let him go free for his eye's sake. And if he smite out his manservant's tooth, or his maidservant's tooth, he shall let him go free for his tooth's sake.
So basically, you cause enough harm, then that individual has his freedom because of how you treated them. Go ahead.
If an ox gore a man or a woman, that they die, then the ox shall be surely stoned, and his flesh shall not be eaten, but the owner of the ox shall be quit.
Okay, so now we're getting into some other things. Now we're getting into, okay, what happens when something of your possession causes some issues? Okay? Now, as a man, the things that are in your possession is everything in that house. As you are being the head of the house, that means everything. That is your son, your daughter, your wife, your car, your dog. You know, we like to get these vicious animals, right? So we love to get us a pit bull. We want to get them all kind of exotic color. We don't get a purple pit. We don't get a tiger stripe pit. We don't get a pit. We're gonna feed him, you know, hot sauce and gunpowder. Okay? Now, when this abominable, God-forsaken beast attacks somebody, make sure you got your pocketbook ready, because that is your fault. You have fed this thing hot sauce and gunpowder, and it is ready to kill everything that come around. Sure, it protects you, but it's gonna kill everything else. You are held responsible for that, and that is what he's going into. Go ahead.
What if the ox were known to push with his horn in time past?
Now, your dog done got out and it done bit somebody. It already done this before. You knew it. You didn't make the proper precautions to contain your dog. You're going to have to pay for that. Go ahead.
And it has been testified to his owner.
It was testified to you that, hey, this wrong has been done by somebody in your house, and you ain't made it. You have not contained that individual. Go ahead.
And he has not kept him in, but that he has killed a man or a woman. The ox shall be stoned, and his owner also shall be put to death.
The owner got to be put to death. Why? Because you knew that this thing had this tendency. You knew it, but you didn't take care of it. People always say in a minute, well, you know, my dog don't bite. Ma'am, that dog got teeth. That dog don't have hands. It can't punch. It fights with its bite. Okay? So telling me that your dog don't bite is some crazy stuff. Because let me tell you something. If you push me far enough in this corner, I'll bite you. So I know that dog will. Go ahead.
If there be laid on him a sum of money, then he shall give for the ransom of his life whatsoever is laid upon him. Whether he have gored a son or have gored a daughter, according to this judgment shall it be done unto him. If the ox shall push a manservant or a maidservant, he shall give unto their master 30 shekels of silver, and the ox shall be stoned. And if a man shall open a pit Or if a man shall dig a pit, and not cover it, and an ox or an ass fall therein, the owner of the pit shall make it good, and give money unto the owner of them, and the dead beast shall be his. And if one man's ox hurt another's, that he die, then they shall sell the live ox, and divide the money of it, and the dead ox also they shall divide. Or if it be known that the ox has used to push in time past, and his owner has not kept him in, he shall surely pay ox for ox, and the dead shall be his own.
All right. So now he's dealing with this with oxen. All right. But what if the oxen or the one that pushes is not an ox, but a man or a woman in your house? And you know they got problems, but you didn't keep them in. You know you got somebody in your house that got Tourette's, and they just up and say all kind of crazy things. Why would you bring them to a place and let them insult everybody? You already, it's been testified to you that that individual can't hold their tongue. That's then held upon you. I want to skip the next one, and I want to go to number 14 on the graphic. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 27. Proverbs chapter 27. See, there are certain things that we have to understand. As it is written, it says, when Yahweh says, you shall not muzzle the ox that treads out the corn, does he care for beasts? Or did he say that for man's sake? Okay. So when he tells you that if you know your ox ain't right, see, people have to know who it is that they married to. See, if your ox or your ass, whatever that is, you know it ain't right, you better chain it. You know it like to fight, why are you going to take it to a hip-hop concert? They ain't going to be doing nothing but fighting in there. So you need to take them to an R&B and jazz event, soft music. You don't need to take them nowhere where they're going to get aggressive. You got to know what it is you got going on. Proverbs chapter 27, let's start at verse 1. We're going to read through verse 17.
Boast not yourselves of tomorrow, for you know not what a day may bring forth. Let another man praise you, and not your own mouth, a stranger and not your own lips.
Whenever you have to say that you humble, you ain't. You can't say that about you. Somebody else has to say that about you. It has absolutely no weight whatsoever if you say it. But if you come from somewhere else and that kind of arrogancy is normal, then the individual don't even know that they was arrogant when they said how humble they were. They don't even know. Go ahead.
A stone is heavy, and the sand weighty, but a fool's anger is heavier than them both. Anger is cruel, and anger is outrageous, but who is able to stand before envy? Open rebuke is better than secret love.
Who is able to stand before envy? It's a quiet snake bite. For folks will envy you and you don't even know. Go ahead.
Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful.
Right. People are amazing that will come up knowing they don't like you. Put their hands on you, hug you. What's with this fake display? Go ahead.
You know, our brother, in verse 5, it says, open rebuke is better than secret love. You know, with open rebuke, that means other people get to see and understand your flaw. And
exactly.
When you're going back in that direction, hopefully they can help you and say, hey, man, you're slipping again.
Exactly. How's somebody going to help you if they don't know where your slippery spots are? But see, this is what we do. This is why certain people, the folks that you see around who progress, those people admit their faults. At some point, you see them back in the office. Them individuals who got so much pride, you never see them back in the office. The next time, you never see them.
Yes, sir.
They were too proud to receive correction. So Yahweh corrected them outside. Go ahead.
The full soul loathes in honeycomb, but to the hungry soul, every bitter thing is sweet. As a bird that wanders from her nest, so is a man that wanders from his place. Ointment and perfume rejoice the heart, so does the sweetness of a man's friend by hearty counsel. Your own friend and your father's friend forsake not, neither go into your brother's house in the day of your calamity. For
So, neither go in your brother's house in the day of your calamity. There's a part where you're going to have to learn to respect the boundaries of other individuals and not bringing, your troubles unto their house. There's some common respect that's supposed to be there. Go ahead.
For better is a neighbor that is near than a brother far off. My son, be wise, and make my heart glad, that I may answer him that reproaches me. A prudent man foresees the evil, and hides himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. Take his garment that is surety for a stranger, and take a pledge of him for a strange woman. He that blesses his friend with a loud voice, rising early in the morning, it shall be counted a curse to him. A continual dropping in a very rainy day, and a contentious woman are alike.
A continual dropping in a very rainy day and a contentious woman are alike. Go ahead.
Whosoever hides her hides the wind, and the ointment of his right hand, which bewrayeth itself.
Now, how does he hide her? See, a contentious woman then hides behind the power of her husband. They hide by presenting themselves as one thing, but when actuality they are something else. When you talk about respecting boundaries, there's certain boundaries that people need to know not to cross. But when you have habitual line crossers, they are going to do what they're going to do. This weekend, I ended up having to, bury my brother. And I look up and there's some individuals coming through the door who I know he didn't like. Somehow they dressed in the same things that we got on. We go to the funeral in all white. They dressed in all white. That ain't enough to respect boundaries. One of these folks is off, running off at the mouth, talking junk about us at my brother's funeral. You need to know boundaries. You need to know boundaries. The person claimed that I lied on them. This individual ended up coming to my house. The grown-ups downstairs, this woman upstairs, wandering through the rooms in the house on her own. She claimed she didn't do it. My daughter said she looked up and, her face come in the door. You know what I'm saying? And these are people who we once respected. I let these folks have a title that they shouldn't have. Elder and mother. Okay? And y'all was there. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Elder Barack and the chick called herself Abia. So they sticking their whole head in the door. She is, right? My daughter said, like, there's a face that just show up in a room. She said, oh, you lying. I didn't do that. When it said 2 witnesses, right? Brother's supposed to be renting an apartment from. Brother go out of town. Brother come to me, and I've been knowing this for a while, but I didn't deal with it. It's because this happened a while ago. The same thing that they did at my house, they did in the place that this brother is paying to rent from them. They done snuck in his place while he gone. They don't know he got a camera in there. Now they done snuck independently. So one time it's the wife sneaking in there, going through their personal stuff, and then she leave. Then the next time, it's the husband sneaking in there, going through their personal stuff, and then leave. Then he asked the folks, so did y'all go through my stuff? No, we didn't go in there. No. Well, you know, I have this video. Well, you know what I suddenly remember? You suddenly remember. But you see how Yahweh provide for you another witness? Now, I would have never spoke about the other witness. The other witness, I got the video. I watched the whole altercation. I said, this is exactly what they did in my house. This is how Yahweh provides another witness for you when somebody claims that they didn't do something. Yahweh is taking care of you whether you know it or not. When you talk about certain things about respecting people's boundary, there are individuals, we have brothers who are members of this congregation. One of the brothers who used to live in California. I ain't never go to that brother's house. I ain't never tried to go to nobody's house. Brothers taking trips, going on other people's house, telling them it was a church trip. Man, I didn't send that brother to your house. So he can talk about what all this brother got. That brother got this, that brother got that. Hey man, I don't deal with that. That brother got what he got. And even when the individual wasn't a part of the congregation, he's still going off telling people, oh, I'm one of the leaders in the congregation. When I tell this brother, he ain't been here in months. That brother was hot. But you find out, when people come and they see what Yahweh has allowed for us to have, they want to be a part of it, but they want it for themselves. They want that camaraderie at their house, not at his house. So it started to be present that here it is, we have holy days and we're getting ready for holy days, and I look up 4, 5 choir members late. Why? He got a shindig going on at his house the same day of Yahweh holy day. And then invited these people, and now folk late. What y'all doing? Oh, we was at Elder B's. It should have been at Yahweh's. Then it starts to be clear. You're trying to build your own house out of Yahweh's house. And all of these things, man, you know about individuals, but we still would have left it alone. But you don't come to a man's family's funeral and start spreading your mess. See, you can talk about me all you want at your house. When you decide to talk about me at my house, now we got a problem. You could talk about me from wherever, but when you decided to come to my brother's funeral, that was where the line was crossed. And that line shall never, ever be repaired. That's a line that you crossed that ain't gonna be cleansed right there. You gotta know the boundaries of, when it says the revenger of blood, wasn't no talking to him. You had to go live somewhere else. Once the revenger of blood came at you, it was a done deal. You are no longer, ain't no more peace right there. You got to go live somewhere else, because if he encounter you, there is going to be war.
Yes, sir.
There is going to be war. After that situation, there is going to be war. You better not let him see your face. You have crossed the line. That ain't no talking no more. You got to go find you somewhere. Because when y'all meet, go ahead and pull out your AK. Go ahead and pull it out. We're going to have to see what it do. Because that was a line that you should not have crossed. Go ahead, brother. Let's go to, I want you to read in graphic number 15. I want you to read the part in Deuteronomy 27 and 17.
Cursed be he that removes his neighbor's landmark. And all the people shall say, Amen.
All right. Now go to the next graphic, and I want you to read the writing there.
Shall not remove before the extensive use of fences Landed property was marked out by stones or posts.
Right. Now, right at this, when we first moved here, y'all noticed the neighbor was made sure he showed us where the boundary line was. Now, if you know it or not, if you go into this corner and dig down, there's going to be a little metal post. Sometimes you got to get a metal detector and beep, 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 it'll hit. That metal post is in the ground. That's letting you know. That's the boundary there. Go all the way down to the end. Dig down. Put your metal detector. Boop, boop, boop. You're going to hit another one. Draw the line between the two. That's your property boundary. It's like that on all corners. Go ahead.
Set up so as to ascertain the divisions of family estates. It was easy to remove one of these landmarks and set it in a different place, and thus a dishonest man might enlarge his own estate by contracting that of his neighbor. Hence it was a matter of considerable importance to prevent this crime among the Israelites, among whom removing them would be equivalent to forging, altering, destroying, or concealing the title deeds of an estate among us. Accordingly, by the Mosaic law, it was not only prohibited in the commandment against covetousness, but we find a particular curse expressly annexed to it in Deuteronomy 27 and 17. Josephus considered this law a general prohibition intended not only to protect private property, but also to preserve the boundaries of kingdoms.
Right. Let's go to Mark chapter 9. So you have to know that when something falls to your duty, it's not everybody else's responsibility to keep walking around your ox that has been known to push in times past. You already know you got an ox that don't respect boundaries. You got to learn to either tie it up or keep it at home. You don't get to bring it around people, let it assault people, and then blame those people because they started to do something to that ox that keep coming at them. That's not everybody else's responsibility. Mark chapter 9, and we're going to start that at verse 17.
And one of the multitude answered and said, Master, I brought unto you my son, which has a dumb spirit. And wheresoever he takes him, he tears him, and he foams, and gnashes with his teeth, and pines away. And I spake to your disciples that they should cast him out, and they could not. He answered him and said, O faithful generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him on to me. And they brought him on to him. And when he saw him, straightway the spirit tear him, and he fell on the ground and wallowed foaming. And he asked his father, How long is it ago since this came on to him? And he said, Of a child. And oftentimes it has cast him into the fire.
Oftentimes it casts him into the fire. Now, is that the responsibility of the person who's building the fire? If your son starts foaming at the mouth and take off and run and dive in the fire, is that everybody else's responsibility? Or is it your responsibility to tie up your ox so it don't run into everybody else's fire? Go ahead.
And into the waters to destroy him. But if you can do anything, have compassion on us and help us. Yahshua said unto him, If you can believe, all things are possible to him that believes. And straightway the father of the child cried out and said with tears, Adonai, I believe, help you mine unbelief. When Yahshua saw that the people came running together, he rebuked the foul spirit, saying unto him, You dumb and deaf spirit, I charge you, come out of him, and enter no more into him.
And instead of us rebuking the dumb, deaf, and foul spirit, we protect it. It said, He that hides her. You know that there's a deaf and dumb spirit in there, but instead of you doing anything about it, you protecting it. But if you was really protecting it, you would have tied it up at the house. You wouldn't let it come out and assault people. See, folks got to understand what kind of dogs you bring to the park. If you ain't got a big enough chain, don't bring your pit bull to the park. It get loose from that chain, there's death and destruction that happens. So you got people walking around the park with terriers. Even if it bites you, it's going to be like, eh. Pit bull bite, it don't let go. You got to know that that's not something that you can just bring around everybody. Brothers may aggressively greet one another. We give each other a handshake. That dog now thinks that that brother was trying to harm you and snatch his leg off. You know your ox was known to push in times past. You should have kept it in. You had no business bringing that ox to a private situation and letting it run around. Go ahead.
And the spirit cried and rent him sore and came out of him. And he was as one dead, insomuch that many said, he is dead. But Yahshua took him by the hand and lifted him up, and he arose. And when he was come into the house, his disciple asked him privately, why could not we cast him out? And he said unto them, this kind came forth by nothing but by prayer and fasting.
But by prayer and fasting. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 21. See, we have to know when something lies in our responsibility when it comes down to maintaining the boundary that we're supposed to have. Deuteronomy chapter 21, and I want to read verses 18 through 21.
Verse 18. If a man have a stubborn and rebellious son, which will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, and that, when they have chastened him, will not hearken unto them,
When they know that this individual will not listen. Go ahead.
then shall his father and his mother lay hold on him, and bring him out unto the elders of his city, and unto the gate of his place.
That means they know that he won't listen because they've already tried to talk to him. They've tried to do all of these things, and he won't listen. Go ahead.
And they shall say unto the elders of his city, this our son is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard. And all the men of his city shall stone him with stones, that he die. So shall you put evil away from among you, and all Israel shall hear and fear.
And all the men of this city shall stone him with stones. Why would they even bring him? Because it's their responsibility. This stubborn and rebellious son is their responsibility. He's out causing harm to all these people. They said, look, we done tried and we can't. So y'all can go ahead and do what y'all got to do to him. You know you got something that can't contain itself, that it has spiritual Tourette's, and it don't understand to go into a house of mourning and shut your mouth. You got to know not to bring it there. It ain't the first time that it's done what it's done. It constantly does that. You got to understand not to bring it. Let's go to Matthew chapter 14. And see what folks try to do is then say, well, you know, I'm innocent. I didn't know that it happened. No, you know what it did. It's your ox. See, when folks pit bull break out and tear off somebody's leg, then they want to say, well, I'm innocent. No, you're not innocent. You knew what it did. You trained it to do what it does. You fed it to do what it does. You bred it to do what it does. You had a mean mama, and you went out to all your brothers and said, which one of y'all got a mean daddy dog? So I can make some really mean and horrible little children dogs. You bred it to do that. How can you be innocent? Matthew chapter 14, and let's start at verse 1.
At that time, Herod the teacher heard of the fame of Yahshua, and said unto his servants, this is Johanan the Baptist. He is risen from the dead, and therefore mighty works do show forth themselves in him. But Herod had laid hold on Johanan, and bound him, and put him in prison for Herod's sake, his brother Philip's wife. For Johanan said unto him, it is not lawful for you to have her. And when he would have put him to death, he feared the multitude because they counted him as a prophet.
When he would have put him to death, he feared him, but he's upset because he's speaking the truth about his evil doings. Go ahead.
But when Herod's birthday was kept, the daughter of Herodias danced before them and pleased Herod.
Now, here go us. Once we see something evil at a birthday party, now we don't want to keep no birthday parties. But now we think all birthday parties are evil. They come from Satan himself. What, because they did something evil at a birthday party? Now all birthdays are completely evil? How does Yahweh turn around and give a man the title of an elder if they don't know he 50? But because the heathen does something evil, now we call it evil when the heathen does it. See, the definition of sin is not how the heathen does something. The definition of sin is the transgression of the law. So for you to call something evil, there has to be a law that says it should not be done. You can't just find something that the heathen did wrong and then say this is evil because we saw the heathen doing it. Go ahead.
Whereupon he promised with an oath to give her whatsoever she would ask. And she, being before instructed of her mother, said, Give me here Johannes Baptist's head in a charger. And the king was sorry. Nevertheless, for the oath's sake, and them which sat with him at meat, he commanded it to be given her. And he sent and beheaded Johanan in the prison.
Now, he beheaded this man, completely manipulated by the woman that he shouldn't have had. Aroused by the dance of her daughter. You have admitted how twisted this whole situation is? You have any idea just how deeply twisted this entire situation is? But for the oath's sake, he went on and beheaded a man whom he knew was right. See, this is what happened when we just decide, you know what, I'm going to stick with the people that I'm with. The people you with wrong. Go ahead, bro.
And his head was brought in a charger and given to the damsel, and she brought it to her mother.
And she brought it to her mother. Straight manipulation, as it is written, he who hides her. How was she able to hide? Through the power of the man that she with. And instead of letting somebody be held accountable, folks keep trying to hide the individual. So what happens? They're able to do more evil. Go ahead, bro.
You know what's interesting is that even with all this foolishness Herod's got going on, and Johanan speaking out against him, he still respected Johanan for who he was and where he stood and would not have done it.
Right. You find that there's one respect level from the man and there's a whole nother disrespectful part that comes from the woman. He wasn't even as disrespectful as her, but was still manipulated by her. Isn't that something? That's why you see a situation, you know, I was encountered with a handshake from the brother. At least the brother stuck his hand out. He had a sense enough not to act a fool, but he didn't tie up his ox. His ox all around the place, starting trouble. He should have known to tie up his ox. You know it was known to push in times past. It has been testified to you. But let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 21. And let it be known, man, we don't go nowhere starting trouble. We don't go nowhere looking for trouble. We just have our boundary line where we are. As long as you stay off our boundary, we'll be all right. Okay? We're not going looking for nobody. We're not going to start no trouble. But do understand, we have encountered the last disrespectful thing where our border, where those 4 metal posts are in the ground. Say whatever you got to say at your house. But do understand, that part is done. Proverbs chapter 21, and we're going to read verses 1 through 19.
The king's heart is in the hand of Yahweh, as the rivers of water. He turneth it whithersoever he will.
There's certain things that you may be encountering. You don't know why you feeling that way. A few hours later, you found out, oh, because this and this and that was going on, and I didn't even know it. You know, there was a point where, you know, sometimes, brother get in trouble because they be like, you know, sometimes too aggressive. And folks be like, you know, y'all, that brother always aggressive. Hey, if you're going to say when a brother wrong, you got to be able to say when a brother right. That same ox decided to put its hand on Rebecca and try to act like it was peace. Brother Yonah yelled out, "Don't let her touch you." Come to figure out, Yonah was right. She went right out of there and spread lies as soon as she had done laid her hands on him. And people try to calm Yonah down. Yonah, stop. Yonah, back up. No, Yonah was right. She went right on there after she done laid her hands trying to touch her and trying to act like one thing, and went right out of there and spread lies. Didn't even leave the ground, spreading the lies at a family funeral. Why are you even there? You know he ain't like you. Go ahead, bro.
Every way of a man is right in his own eyes. But Yahweh ponders the hearts. To do justice and judgment is more acceptable to Yahweh than sacrifice. An high look and a proud heart and the plowing of the wicked is sin. The thoughts of the diligent tend only to plenteousness, but of everyone that is hasty only to want. The getting of treasures by a lying tongue is a vanity tossed to and fro of them that seek death. The robbery of the wicked shall destroy them, because they refuse to do judgment.
They refuse to do judgment. See, judgment is uncomfortable. And people who want to have big congregations and a lot of money, they don't want to deal with judgment. It's going to slow down the money train. But when you're dealing with Yahweh, Yahweh provides. Every individual that gets upset and takes off, Yahweh bring another individual better than them. If judgment runs them off, judgment is going to run somebody else in. He was say, man, I like how, you know, if folk came down there and said what needed to say. Hey, y'all don't understand what just happened here. I ended up doing a eulogy that I didn't want to do. And hey, but we took care of our business. We went right up in there. It's online. Y'all can go see it. If y'all came here to hear that my brother going to heaven, I told him, y'all came to the wrong place. Man, you know how many people, Christians, you know how many people pull me aside to congratulate me? Hey, brother, I ain't never heard nothing like that. Hey, brother, hey, man, where you teach at? Hey, man, where your place at? Hey, man, I ain't never heard nobody say nothing like that. Oh, like, baby, come here, baby, come here. That word in you so powerful. Go on, John. Now, you thinking that after I done got up there and said the things that I said, that they were going to be angry. Absolutely the opposite. They trying to Shazam our song, trying to figure out how they can get it. From the outfits to the song to the message, we took care of that business. We sent our brother home right. But some haters still gonna show up. But Yahweh got him some glory out of that. The funeral home people, as the sisters were singing, the whole lobby got filled in the back. All the people from the funeral place running down trying to figure out, hey, where that song come from? We ain't never heard that version. How can we get it? Turning up their phones trying to see if they can snatch it off the internet. Sometimes Yahweh may put you in a place where you don't necessarily want to be. But he got some people that he trying to talk to there. And that's where you need to be. It ain't about where you want to be. It's about where he wants you to be. And if he has just one ear that he wants to hear, that's where you going. If you are indeed a servant like we say we are. Because Kisha tell you there was some heavy contemplation a day and a half before that. Kisha had to calm me down. Look, hold on, man. Just but remember your pressure points. Woosa. Woosa. Brother had me doing yoga in my office. Calm down. Just calm down. We done been here before, brother. We done been here before. Come on, man. Calm down. Just chill out. And afterwards, some things did come to me. So, I appreciate that therapy. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 8, the way of man is froward and strange, but as for the pure, his work is right. It is better to dwell in a corner of the housetop than with a brawling woman in a wide house.
Now, if you know you got a brawling woman, you can't have peace by bringing that brawling woman to go brawl with other people so you can have peace in your house. Because now she tired. You know how, you got the kids and they running all around. So you take the kid to the playground, let them, so they attack all the other kids. But then they tired, so then you take them home and now you got rest. That ain't right. That ain't right. Don't bring your little brawling woman out to fight with everybody so you can have a good night's rest. That ain't right. Go ahead, bro.
The soul of the wicked desires evil. His neighbor finds no favor in his eyes. When the scorner is punished, the simple is made wise. And when the wise is instructed, he receives knowledge. The righteous man wisely considers the house of the wicked, but Elohim overthrows the wicked for their wickedness. Whoso stops his ears at the cry of the poor, he also shall cry himself, but shall not be heard. A gift in secret pacifies anger, and a reward in the bosom strong wrath. It is joy to the just to do judgment, but destruction shall be to the workers of lawlessness. The man that wanders out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead.
Shall remain in the congregation of the dead. You know what's interesting? When you show up to a funeral that you were not invited to, and there are two different congregations that you are not a part of, when you know that, the same individual done been part of 3 congregations since we known them. The first thing that my mama told me when I kept getting kicked out of school, baby, it can't be everybody. So everywhere you went, they were wrong. So every congregation you done went, them folk used to be in the congregation with my mama. Used to be in another one before they got here. Then was in this one. How you keep being in the congregation every other year and a half? But it's everybody else's fault. Something wrong with them, with all them. That was when my mama had to look me in my eyes. Baby, every school you done got kicked out of, you give me a story. It can't be everybody. Now, I didn't necessarily fix my ways, but I was honest about who I was. That next school, she said, baby, what happened? I said, Mom, I be tripping. Man up. Your boy did that. What no more they be tripping? I said, I be tripping. I did this. I own it. I did that. They kicked me out, gave me enough for a bus ticket, and sat out there and watched me on the walkie-talkie. Yep, the bus is coming over. Never seen somebody just sit out there and wait. He don't even know when the bus coming is, but we're gonna sit here, over. No, Mama, I earned this one. No, I put my clown shoes on. I'm talking about the ones that curve up. No, I went straight clown on this one. I earned this one, Mama. I be tripping. It's amazing when you got people who call themselves elders and don't know that they're the issue. My mama told me that at 15. I had to realize that I be tripping. How you gonna be 65 and don't know you be tripping? Go ahead, bro.
Verse 17. He that loves pleasure shall be a poor man. He that loves wine and oil shall not be rich. The wicked shall be a ransom for the righteous, and the transgressor for the upright. It is better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and an angry woman.
Right. And either go ahead and live in the woods, or please get a better chain for your ox. That is all that we're going to do for today. You have to understand and learn our own boundaries. Let that be for any of y'all that decide you want to go ahead and get you something. Do understand that you're going to be held responsible for whatever that is you get. When my kids had told me, y'all know I didn't want no dog. I know I messed a lot of y'all up when I said, yeah, I got a dog. They be like, you got a dog? This brother got a dog. Elias straight laughed at me. He straight bust out laughing. You got a dog? And you got a dog, a house dog? Oh my, they clown me. But coming out of the hospital, man, I said, you know what? My kids been begging me for a dog their entire life. But man, I had to decide what kind of dog I was gonna get. This was a long, drawn out thing, man. And I wasn't finna go, after all that time, I wasn't finna gonna get no piece of dog. People like, you should just go to the pound and you can get a rescue. I said, I deal with rescues on the Sabbath. Now, all them traumatized like hell when I get them. Now, I don't need a dog that's already traumatized. I know we're going to spend some money on the dog. I had to drive 3 states up to go get that dog. And everywhere we go, people was like, where did you find this? Because I want to make sure that I wasn't going to get nothing that was going to cause me some problems in my boundaries. That it get out and cause me issues. If my dog get out, the only thing it's going to do is make you tired. Because it's going to play with you like hell. My dog not going to protect my house. If you come there, my dog going to be like, you know what, that ain't even the good stuff. Come upstairs. My dog going to be like, if you think that's something, you should see the blue one. Come, I'll show you. My dog not protecting me. My dog not protecting my kids. My dog is there to enjoy life and to let you enjoy her. That's it. So understand when you're going to get something, understand that you're going to be held responsible for it. So if you want to go on and get you one of those killers, just understand you are going to be held responsible for whatever it does. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.